about PhD, because as an example, I talked with one person from Australia. She was studying bachelor's and master's in here in Punjab University, I guess, and in agriculture sector. So actually, she want to shift it into the DNA and something like that. And it's not possible to do this kind of switching in PhD. They can't, means we can't change the stream, so they go over there. Right now, she is working very well renowned scientist in Australia. So basically, I just want to say that how PhD is here compared to Germany. Plus, I have heard a lot of time that in India, the professors are harassing students and PhD people. And now we also have exams for PhD entrance exams. So, what are the situation over there? Is it difficult process to get over there compared to India? And how much stipend, means survival rate, means how is the life of PhD students, they can survive, and how age? I guess 3 to 5 years happen. So mostly people are also concerned this kind of thing, that now their age is about getting married. So they also, a lot of people have a fear of that if we do PhD, because sometimes we heard that PhD students don't get a job or something like that. So it's a waste of time. Something like that. And another thing, that artificial intelligence is also interrupting interior design. And last thing, that how do you think is how long will you work? Like as an example, I was studying in TIS in means Mumbai. So over there, I have seen that a lot of professors are working, means they are doing guest lectures in all over the world. They have a lot of publishing on, they earn money from publishing different research work. They also earn money from writing some books, co-authoring some books. So maybe I guess you are going on the same path, kind of same path, or you are what kind of things maybe you think that you will do till 60? Like, will you become a consultant plus author plus publisher plus teacher or professor? Something like that?
So I'll begin with, you have, I think, asked 3 or 4 questions on this one big question, which is firstly, it's how different it is. I think how different it is from the PhD in India and in Germany. I think in India, it's in both countries, it's equally competitive to get a PhD. It's not that one is better or one is worse. The difference is in the life of a PhD student. Like, I feel like, and of course, the other difference is that in India, you have a competitive exam and etc. Whereas here in Germany, there is no concept of a competitive exam. Yes, there's a concept of a competitive scholarship. So if you want to do your PhD, you can secure funding, and that is a competitive space. And so, as I said, in terms of competition, both India and Germany are equally competitive, but the quality of research is different, and also the life of a PhD student is different. In India, the life of a PhD student is more that they are kind of really doing the professor's work. Mostly, like 80% of the time, they're actually doing the professor's administrative work or teaching work or etc. Whereas here, even if I'm doing the professor's work, I'm getting paid for it. So it is not like exploitative in nature. Whereas in India, it's exploitative in nature. The other difference is the quality of research. I think here, because of the standard of research that is there here in Germany, where I, as a student from India, when I come here, I know I have to live up to that standard. So, like, I cannot do an average work and, get away with a PhD. And
so it's
here,
difficult.
the professor, yes, it's difficult. Also, here, the professor is not behind that I want to have 5, 6 PhD students under me. Like, they are behind quality of work, not quantity. So in India, that is, but again, it's a result of the competition spirit in India. Like, in India, like everybody who is, like a young professor or, starting at a assistant or associate level, they want to, have a lot of PhD students under them, because if they have, guided 20 PhD students, can they get the appraisal or what they said, promotion? Here, there is no such thing. This concept of hierarchy doesn't exist. There is no concept of assistant professor or associate professor. There's just a professor, and then he has his own scientific team. And in the scientific team, everybody is equal. So a PhD student is equal to a person who already has a PhD. So it's like there's equality and there's democracy uh, in that manner. And yeah, so as I said, the competition to get into PhD is equal, but the quality of research is different, and also the life is different, because here, as I said, like in India, like the professor is really sitting on your head, and like he's like, did you do this? Did you do that? It's constantly he's on your head. But here, the idea is to give the student the space to research so that he can produce high quality research. So, and also the professor is not like, oh, when are you going to show me your work? They are not like that. They're like, if you need time, you need time. Like, so, and they also understand that, especially in PhD, when there is something that you understand in your first year, and then there's something that you understand in your fourth year, realizing that what you understood in your first year is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you have many of these counter realizations, and the professor expects you that you go through all these counter realizations by yourself. So it's a very lonely journey over here, like in Germany, where it's completely self motivated, self disciplined. Everything is, you know, self-governed. Unlike like how in India, there's a professor who's sitting on your head. He's like, "Did you do this? Did you do that?" So you're always answerable. You're constantly in that loop of being answerable. So in that way, the quality of and I think as a result, it impacts the quality, because if the professor is constantly sitting on your head, then you're like also publishing things which are not very relevant or not important, because you're publishing for the sake of publishing or writing for the sake of writing. Here, because you're given the space, so they really expect like high quality research. So it can't be like something which is being done like 10,000, 10 times before.
So basically,
So
they
that
have
there's
enough money for research. So it's not a big
yes,
pressure.
exactly.
Like in India, we have
Yes,
limited
yes,
amount of
yes,
research
yes,
funding.
yes. Yeah, but as I said, it's completely to do with the whole system there, the hierarchy, the system of hierarchy, the system of funding. It allows for that system to sort of continue, whereas here it's different, because there's only one professor position and the rest are all scientific staff that's working with the professor. So I, as a PhD student, I'm also a scientific staff. Somebody who has a PhD is also a postdoc, but is a scientific staff. So everyone is at the same. So everyone is treated like a peer. In fact, even when I go for a discussion with my supervisor, they will ask me what I think is the best. And then suddenly you are the one who's responsible for your research. You want to do it all the more honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to be the most honest, because then it is like tomorrow, if questions are raised, you have to be in the position to be, answerable. You can't be like, oh, because my professor told me to do so. No, you can't do that. So it is completely a work which is based on your honesty and integrity, and that puts like it, and it is just the system puts that pressure on you to be that honest and have that integrity in your work. So which is why I said the quality of research is different when it is in India and when what you do here in Germany. Um, the other question was that yeah, I think maybe I've answered that the PhD life of it's a lonely journey, and it's you're constantly pushing yourself because there's nobody else. As Indians, we're also used to somebody who's sitting on our head and telling us, "So you do this, do that." But here, there's nobody who's telling you to do this, do that. They trust you. They trust on your decision. They trust on your knowledge. They treat you like a peer. So all of that puts a lot of like pressure, which is a different kind of pressure, which is not a pressure which is like given by external forces. It's a pressure that you give yourself that, oh, because my professor trusts me so much, I need to be worthy of that. So it's a different, it's like an indirect sort of pressure. And in terms of AI coming into the research landscape, I feel that um, it is an interesting tool. In fact, even now in like a lot of journals, in a lot of journal publications and book publications, and of course even thesis publications, now there is a clause that says that if you have used AI for some any reason for something, you can mention it. So there is this, permission to use it, but it shouldn't be like, especially the kind of research that I'm doing, a lot of research which is very coding based. So
Mhm.
you can have ChatGPT sort of generate a code for you, and then you can use that code and run that code, and it works efficiently. But the kind of research that I'm doing is very more towards social sciences. So I really have to dig up archival literature. I have to do the actual, like on-field work. So so for me, ChatGPT is not much of
So
a
AI
help.
can't do
I
that.
mean,
So over there, this
AI,
thing AI
yeah,
means
yeah,
AI can maybe think based on the
yeah,
knowledge
yeah,
he feed
yeah,
up,
yeah,
but he
yes,
can't think when it's
of
something field
itself,
work.
yes. Yes, yes. If it's fieldwork related, if it's archival research, very archival regional research. So I'm dealing with two particular regions. So I will not get that like, because AI is giving you general information, and it is very useful for the people who are actually in computers and mechatronics or robotics and subjects like these. Because if you want to run the code and you're struggling to frame the code, it helps you in actually framing the code. So I'm not working in the coding sector, so it's not at all useful for me. What it does help me is kind of structuring my research, like where should I put this research
Formatting.
question, or it is, yeah, just the format or it's things like that. So, and if I have used AI for that, I should mention it in my thesis that I've used AI for structuring purposes or whatever. So, yeah.
Do you use it? Means is it possible to
Uh,
use in architecture field to build some
I mean,
structure, or it's not
I wouldn't,
that much useful?
no, I wouldn't recommend because, I mean, it can help in some calculations, but I feel like in generation of figures or images, it's not at all. No, like I wouldn't recommend it at all. I feel that firstly, generating images in AI is requiring a lot of energy. Is using up a lot of energy. To generate one image is using a lot of water resources for that. So for that reason, I would not suggest. And the other reason is that design is a very it's
Thinking
it's a
based,
very
structural
yeah,
thinking. Yeah.
thinking, yeah, it's thinking based, and it's very creative based. Like it is not logic. I mean, it is logic, but it is also there's creativity,
So
and
AI is not
every
that much smart
human,
right now.
yeah, AI is creative, but it is not individual creative. It is very general creative. So it is like understanding general taste and general ideas, and it's so that individuality is sort of lost. That like a human, like um yeah. So like, yeah, I feel like AI in the creative industry is of no. I mean, it's not no benefit, because in a creative pursuit also, it is so important, like for the human to get that validation that this was done by me. Like when a person is an artist or a creator, it is so important that they are like, oh, this is by me, you know.
Mhm.
So in that aspect
That
also, I
emotion
feel a
is
lot
not
of
there.
yes, yes. If a creator is making something from AI, he will not say that I created this. That there is the self-respect or that ego of a creator. That, oh,
Mhm.
this is designed, like this design is by me, or this, this like, for example, even you, the fact that you're doing a podcast as a creator, like there's no robot asking me questions. The kind of questions that you're asking me, I don't think any robot will ask me such deeply rooted questions, and also frame your questions based on what I'm answering as well. So I
So
feel the creative
basically,
industry,
basically
yeah,
AI cannot get drunk and write a Sufi poems, something like that. Basically, it's
exactly,
that
yeah.
kind of thinking.
That,
Our mind
yeah,
work in that way.
yeah,
we are stressed,
Yes.
we are happy, we are sad, and write something
Yes.
or think
Yes.
something based on that or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah.
So that output we can't
Yeah.
get.
I'm not saying that AI can't create. AI can create, but it will
Great,
lack
yeah. We can use that as
emotion.
reference. We can use as
Huh.
some reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
how do PhD earn over there compared to India?
Yes.
And what
Yes.
are the
Yes.
ways?
Yeah. So you rightly said it that as a PhD student, it's always difficult to find a job because now you're suddenly overqualified. You're suddenly overqualified for all the positions because most of the industry are looking at bachelors or masters. So in the industry, like if I have to go back to the industry, they would seek a person who has a bachelor's or a
So that
master's.
is also
They,
there because
yeah,
I have seen this thing in
yeah,
Australia, overqualified. I heard this
yes,
phenomenon
yes.
first
So
time, overqualified.
you're overeducated or you're overqualified for this position. Um, so yes, a job is a question mark. But people who do PhD, some of them after doing a PhD, they really want to get back to industry because they're like, oh, I'm done with research and reading and writing. But I feel that I would like to continue in the academics, like personally for me. And I would like to continue to be in research uh, and also academics in terms of teaching because I really enjoy teaching. Uh, so in that space for me, I would say that I'm looking at avenues of looking at fellowships or postdoctorates or things like that, or also just continuing to teach in the institute where I am right now. So so I'm open to those opportunities. And job prospects are difficult, but because PhD is such a niche, like it's such a niche field, like you're in a very like a niche topic that you're an expert, that you actually know the people who are doing well in your research. Like you
Hmm.
actually know all the organizations or all the professors or the scientists that are working in your profession. So you can develop networks, you can ask them for a postdoctorate later or a fellowship later or something like that. So that opportunity is always available because of the rich research that you have done, that you've been able to, accumulate. But yes, I have seen people go back to industry after PhD and they having heard the thing that, oh, you're too overqualified or things like that happen, but some of them. So it's a game. It's difficult to say if you would get something after your PhD or so.
And which are your
Which is a yeah, which is in India as well as over here. So it is not like this is common to both. Yeah, yeah.
and what do you think? Which kind of subjects, if you are in going to teach in bachelor's in architecture, which kind of topics or subjects you think you can teach
Mhm.
better because of your journey?
Yeah,
As an example,
yeah.
compared to your
I think I
professor,
can.
compared to very well compared to your professors, or
No, that is difficult because some of my professors were really good.
okay.
So uh, yeah, I mean, I think sometimes I feel within the education system, I feel that we really have some good teachers. Like our teachers, some of them are really good, but the system is a little bit flawed. So
Mhm.
I really feel that the system allowed more space for firstly people from different disciplines, for students to be able to pursue different disciplines. So I feel that was allowed. But one subject that I would, coming on to your question, I think I would like to teach, I would enjoy teaching, would be history of architecture. I think I would like to either that or humanities. I think these two subjects I would like to teach in bachelor's, and but it's not. But my professors have taught that subject brilliantly. So yeah,
And
but I would still.
which kind of architecture you seen and you realize that how did they build, or if I want to build, it's
Mhm.
not possible for me to build, it's difficult or very, as
To
an
be
example, in the programming language, some kind of
yeah,
programs, it's very difficult to understand as well.
yeah, yeah.
We can't even imagine, to do these kind of things. So have you ever
Yeah,
seen or read, or it's not possible for you to build, or there are so many things you
I
can't do it?
I feel that, having studied architecture and having studied landscape architecture, I feel that I really wish in India there were more public spaces, and there were more public spaces which were designed. And I feel that that is something that I would, is challenging right now to work with. And I see a lack of it. There is a lack of it, which is why I would want to. So instead of like building buildings, I would rather, want to make a park or a garden or an open space that is accessible to everyone. So I would like to design maybe that, then a building. But a building that one of the buildings that,
Surprise you. How did
yeah,
they
this,
make this?
one of the buildings, I don't, there are
Buildings or
many,
any architecture in
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
maybe something like Taj Mahal, or how did
no,
they
no.
design, or how did
Mm,
they carve
yeah, I think one of
carving?
those structures would be like one of those Mughal structures where there is so much precision in terms of symmetry. So that really amazes me that how did they achieve the symmetry? Like like something that at one corner is similar to the other corner. I think without drawings and etc. I just feel like how to achieve that symmetry. And I feel some of the Mughals, like of course the water engineering that they did, and there are a lot of structures, but there's this one structure that is one of my structures that I really
Admire,
look up to,
surprise.
admire is in Sri Lanka actually.
Mm-hmm.
Is by this architect called Jeffrey Bawa,
Okay.
and his architecture is very local to the Sri Lankan culture, but it
Mm-hmm.
also has these modern elements.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like request your viewers to sort of, and I think that is the architecture that one should aspire to. Like,
Learn.
I'm not one for like the glass buildings or the fancy buildings, but an architecture which is respecting the region, like the climate that the building is in, but it also is using modern techniques to build that sort of a structure. So the work of Jeffrey Baba is something that I really admire, and his work is mostly there in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Um, so yes, so,
Where is he from? From Sri Lanka or somewhere
he's a
else? He's a Sri
he's
Lankan.
a he's a
Maybe.
Sri Lankan. Yes, yes, yes. He's
Mm-hmm.
Sri Lankan as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Hey, that's
So
cool.
and there's another architect called Laurie Baker who did a lot of good work in Kerala in India.
Okay.
The southern. So a lot of like in the southern part of India, there are some good like local architects who are doing that kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
That they're respecting the traditional architecture, but they're also building with modern techniques. So you will see a lot of those kind of architects in Bangalore or Kerala, or in maybe in Pondicherry or some cities like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.